So Jack Frost, it begins with an uncle telling his niece the story of the murderous Jack Frost off screen while it's just like panning through a Christmas tree. And I'm going to read the quote because I actually think it's pretty fun. Well, for 5 years, through 11 states and 38 deaths, Jack was nimble, Jack was quick, Jack gouged out eyes with candlesticks. He smashed in skulls with sticks and stones, used iron bars to crush their bones so he could hide his kills in tiny places and you wouldn't have to see their faces. I actually thought that was pretty fun, so I thought you might enjoy it. So Jack is finally caught. He is transported to his execution. The van, of course, crashes, and he flies out the back. Somehow survives. And turns out this crash was because it crashed into another vehicle of genetic research. He ends up getting covered with it, and he melts into the snow, and the killer snowman is born. So Jack Frost features the very first movie for Shannon Elizabeth, who most people my age will know her for sure from the first American Pie movie, which legendary scene. So I'm gonna tell you about just a couple things I thought were fantastic about this movie. So there's the snowman. Well, the snowman vows revenge against the cop who caught him, and he ends up, and of course he ends up in front of the house as the snowman. And this bully comes up to the guy's kid and is bullying him because that's what bullies do. But the bully knocks him. The snowman knocks the bully over, and while his friend is using a sled, chops his head off. And the head actually kind of goes flying, and it's amazing. We've got another where a guy is out smoking, and Jack asks for a smoke. The guy just ignores it because all he sees is a snowman. He's like, what the fuck is this? So he ends up shoving the handle of an axe down his throat. Not like out the back of his neck or the back of his head, like literally just all the way down his throat. At which point Jack says, gosh, I only axed for a smoke. These kills and one-liners are killing me, and I love it. Let's see here. Another one, he smashes somebody's face into a bunch of glass bulbs and then attaches her to the tree. We got somebody screaming, who's out there? And, well, it ain't fucking Frosty. What are you? World's most pissed off snow cone. Oh my god. At another point, he like shoots icicles out of his arm and goes, well, what do you know? Armed and dangerous. This is fucking great. I love it. And poor Shannon Elizabeth, her first movie features quite the death. Jack Frost has the power to like melt down to water and then rematerialize wherever he ends up. And he, of course, ends up in a bathtub with a naked Shannon Elizabeth, though you don't actually see anything. She's completely covered up overall. And he reforms with her, like, trapped inside of him, at which point he fucks her to death up against the wall of the shower. And I'm sitting there. It's like, this is fucking terrible, but it's glorious. And in the beginning of the movie, after all the events of, Jack melting into the snow and all that, the sheriff's son, who is the one that caught Jack, gives his dad, like, some homemade oats, right? It's like, Daddy, you love oats. Take your oats. So he takes the oats, throws it out at one point, then he feels bad, takes it, throws it back in his cruiser. At one point, we discover he throws towards the end of the movie, he throws the oats, because it's like the only weapon he has, apparently, at Jack Frost, and it like melts part of him. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck? And the kid is like, I'm sorry, Daddy, I didn't want you to be cold, so I put antifreeze in the oats. It's like, oh my god, are you stupid? And it's like, wow, this is the dumbest kid in the world. So, to defeat Jack Frost, and it's amazing, like this guy who owns a hardware store who's constantly like, oh, come get this, 20% off, 20% off, 20% off, constantly trying to make it some kind of deal for people to buy shit at a shop. He gets all the antifreeze he possibly can. He dumps it into his truck, the bed of his truck, and there is a glorious, comical fight between our sheriff and Jack Frost in the bed of this antifreeze pool, which melts Jack Frost. So Jack Frost is absolutely ridiculous. It is insanely ridiculous. The acting is terrible. It's really bad. But as a whole, it's actually not a bad movie. While the story itself is ridiculous, it's fun enough where you look past its ridiculousness, mainly because you're laughing so hard at all the fantastic, amazing one-liners from Jack Frost. And the effects are actually not bad. The big snowman for Jack Frost is pretty cool looking, and it's well done puppetry and shit, you know? So it's actually an overall well-made movie. For the time, you know, it gets pushed aside because other bigger budget movies came out, so it kind of gets ignored. But it's, for such a small budget, it's not a bad movie. It just has bad acting. But I'm only going to give Jack Frost a 1.
Did you enjoy the review? Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see a new Craptacular Horror review every week. Feel free to leave a comment to discuss your thoughts on the movie, or if you have a film you'd like to see reviewed in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.